not necessarily who the individual is and what the business is. What is we like to look at is these frameworks, right? And so the correction that I want to make is he actually went from 100,000 followers to 1 million followers in less than a year. And the real question is, how did he do that? And what is the system behind that we were able to implement? And you really need to know the roadmap, start to finish, how to actually have the project succeed, right? When it comes to pre-production, production, and post-production, they're three completely
You've
different
hooked me here, Caleb. Tell me the roadmap. Walk me through, because I'm super interested. I mean, when you reached out to me, I was just interested for myself. I was like, oh, I want to know like some of these frameworks of where that growth has come from.
Pause and go back and listen to what I said right there. Go answer those first, because then when you're bringing in an editor, a creative director, a producer, a graphic designer, like they need that key information to actually bring your vision to life. So like Jordan, back to your question of like,
guys, I am super, super excited about today's interview. Today, my guest engineers virality. He helped take Nectar Hard Seltzer to $5 million organically, scaled a creator from 100K to 1 million views in 6 months, has over 1 billion views with brands like Monster Energy and creators like Logan Paul and Tony Hawk. And I'm going to say Tony Hawk is the one that caught my attention. I was like, oh man, as a elder millennial, I'm like, Tony Hawk, sweet. I mean, I've like been obsessed with that, that game since I was young. So if you want founder-led content that sells, today's interview is for you. Caleb, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate you having me on. Super excited to be here and dive into some content.
Absolutely. So for people who don't know anything about you or what you do, just give us a little heads up into your world.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, we really focus in on organic content. I'm the founder and CEO of Shadowite Studios, where we're really helping brands, creators, and entrepreneurs accelerate brand growth through organic content. There's so many different ways to do this nowadays, so many different social channels. And we're really coming in and making sure, number one, we have the right strategy. We have the right system and process in place. We have pre-production elements, production, and post-production systems in place, right, to be able to scale brand and to really be able to generate new revenue, ideally without spending new dollars on ad creative, right? So funny enough, we have never ran an internal ad except for this year for our agency. We ultimately were referral
so you smoke what you deal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm that guy, right? We are ultimately implementing what we preach, right? And I think that's an important piece of the puzzle in the world that we live in today, in terms of having a unique ability to drive results, where in this world anyone can buy a course and become a social media expert within posting one video. It becomes hard to get an understanding of who can you trust, who is the right solution for you. And so that's where we partner with brands, creators, and entrepreneurs to make sure we have the right systems in place to actually scale and drive results.
Love it. I am so pumped. So guys, today we're going to be talking about the content sprint, which I'm really excited to kind of delve into that. We're going to talk about the 90-minute weekly routine that founders can run to produce 100 plus assets a month without burning out, right? I think that's the big thing is like, I know about this. We're going to talk about the signal check. I'm looking forward to that, looking at like the right metrics to actually look at when it comes to organic. Let me just monologue here for a second. I think that most brands are making a massive effing mistake when it comes to their organic social. When we ran, and for those of you guys who don't know, I owned 7 different brands over the years. We grew all of them organically. I believe in community more than anything. I believe that community is the sort of final place that you bring people to. It's like the ultimate. But with that, organic was always the biggest thing. How I got into paid ads was literally just the unicorn method, which is just boosting posts, right? It's just like, hey, take what works organically and then put ad spend behind it. That's TikTok Shop. That is exactly what it is, right? Is that, but whitelisting, right? Now, when I think about the growth that I personally have had over the years with the different businesses, all of the acquisitions that I did, I acquired a bunch of different brands. all of it was because of my organic social. I'm sure, Caleb, you and I got a hold of each other because of, I'll bet you it was LinkedIn.
Yeah, it was LinkedIn 100%.
Right? Like, it is the thing. And for me, like, I am just going to be taking notes this entire time because I don't have the greatest content systems, to be totally honest. I just do it all myself. I've tried to hire people. I've got an assistant. I've got a, full-time, probably double full-time assistant that helps with stuff. But like, even for me running the size of agency that we're about 50 people right now, I'm still spending a huge amount of time every single day on my content. So I'm looking forward to just all of that being said. I think that brand owners, like, buckle up. This is probably the most important conversation that you're going to listen to all year. You're probably going to want to share this with your friends and let them know, like, hey, by the way, organic actually matters. So let's dig into it. Where do you want to start, Caleb?
Totally up to you. I do want to correct you on one metric before we dive into it. Right at the start, you said 100,000 followers to 1 million views. It's actually one of our recent projects and clients with one of the quickest growth that I've seen is a founder. His name's Johnny Chang. He has a very unique content approach, right? He's a pastor. And, when it comes to this world of things, you think typically like church, and some people would argue like boring, right? What's really interesting is not necessarily who the individual is and what the business is. What is we like to look at is these frameworks, right? And so the correction that I want to make is he actually went from 100,000 followers to 1 million followers in less than a year. And the real question is, how did he do that? And what is the system behind that we were able to implement, right? Because what you're
that should be the intro. We're 5 minutes in. That should be the intro.
That's
Caleb.
the intro, so, right? It's 100. Like, we're talking Nectar Hard Seltzer, yeah, $2 million to $5 million in revenue. It's impressive. It drives results for brand. I really like taking the approach of doing difficult things. So ever since I was young, first started in business, I liked doing multiple different things, right? And so when I look at projects and I don't think, hey, I don't believe that this will succeed, being able to get in there and actually getting it to perform and succeed is what I would say I'm genuinely obsessed with, right? That's what makes business fun at the end of the day, is finding a product that, no one can crack, right? From a marketing standpoint, from an organic standpoint, and actually having a strategy that converts, because the system and the elements that need to be implemented to have it function is really like a framework, right? It's like, hey, here's the SOP, here's, we use ClickUp, here's the framework that we implement. And then it really comes down to the implementation of your team members, right? Bringing that to life. Yeah. And you really need to know the roadmap start to finish, how to actually have the project succeed, right? When it comes to pre-production, production, and post-production, they're three completely
different elements. You've hooked me here, Caleb. Tell me the roadmap. Walk me through, because I'm super interested. I mean, when you reached out to me, I was just interested for myself. I was like, oh, I want to know, like, some of these frameworks of where that growth has come from, right? Like, I want to know what is that roadmap, because probably you're going to see me starting to implement some of that and then starting to talk about it on the brand side, because I think it's really important, and I'm probably going to send a lot of brands your way. Yeah, so walk me through what is the roadmap?
Yeah, 100%. So I think it's important to preface with the roadmap is going to be different for every single brand. Like, what we implement for Jordan West is going to be completely different than what we implement for Caleb Alvarez, right?
Yeah.
It's really understanding, number one, like, what is the outcome and the goal that we're pushing for? Let's say a brand, their main focus is like, we can't even stay consistent on social media. That's one roadmap, one framework, right? Let's say we have an influencer that's at 100,000 followers, and they're like, hey, we need more attention to drive more brand deals and more revenue for the company. We need as much attention as possible. That's, one roadmap, right? It's important to note that, like, this isn't a cookie cutter approach where you download an SOP and you just sit down with your team for one day and you implement it. It's a lot of looking at analytics. It's looking at performance of posts. It's understanding that, if your content isn't performing, it's not that you're shadow banned. It's probably that it's just not interesting. A lot of people have this framework of like, hey,
this is my favorite. This is like my favorite conversation. I'm shadow banned. It's like, yeah, you just make shitty content. Sorry.
Yeah, and unfortunately, my mission, like my goal, is to help people. If I had to wear it on a t-shirt, it would be, you're not shadow banned, your content sucks, right?
Yeah.
And it's like understanding that social changes, algorithms change, right? And it's having the mindset and the ability to pivot and adapt, and not become complacent and a specific marketing strategy. I've seen strategy work for 90 days and it generate multiple millions of views, and then the next week one thing happens and it no longer works and you have to adapt and pivot, right? So
I mean, I would argue that's tactics.
Yeah.
Right. I would argue anything that stops like that is just a tactical thing. It's like when, like, I'll say LinkedIn just because that's, a world that I live in, right? Like LinkedIn, when people were all doing those stupid carousels.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a tactic. That's not a strategy. You're just turning a post into these carousels that I can't stand.
Yeah.
And that I'm so glad.
Same
when
with
that
video.
stopped.
LinkedIn did a really big push on video and they've since pulled it back, right? So
Totally.
It's about number one, having the clarity on what the main focus and what the outcome is. Like if you're taking notes here, you first got to start with like, what is the outcome that we're focusing on? Is it drive more revenue? Is it more attention? Is it build founder-led content? Is it, bring more content around specific product launch, right? And then the next step is number two is going to be team, right? Who are the key team members in place to actually execute on the action items to drive the outcome, right? Because we can map out on a whiteboard exactly what needs to happen in the specific framework. And if I were to, give you like a blueprint and what I prefer, right? How I currently have my content set up for my personal brand is probably the best thing to break down here, because for every brand,
I think that talking your book is the best possible way to do this.
So internally, like from a high level, we have 15 team members, right? I have an individual that can really support in multiple different areas, right? So my graphic designer, for example, is a really great copywriter. She's also a really great thumbnail designer. She's also really great at brand assets, right? She's a Swiss Army knife when it comes to design.
Yeah. Definitely sounds like a bit of a unicorn.
I'm not looking for just a thumbnail designer for YouTube, right? When I'm going in and I'm hiring creatives specifically, you have to understand that creatives want to work on multiple things for the most part. That's why they're creative. They want infinite opportunity. They want to be able to dream. They want to be able to get behind someone's vision, understand where they need to go, what the action items are, and typically they don't want to have to be the ones to set that cadence, right? They want to work within a loose framework, not too tight of a framework where they're stressed out now because of deliverables. And this is a mistake that I see consistently within brand is, we'll hire a creative director that's going to edit the content, strategize the content, work on the product launch, work internally with the marketing team and multiple different areas within the company. And that individual gets stretched too thin. Right. So like you're saying, unicorns, we typically within brand and within companies, when we're hiring, we're looking to have one person solve like 15 things. Right. And the best way for creative management, right, that's what we're speaking on here. The best way of this infrastructure is to have clear deliverables, number one, clear outcomes, and then a clear measurement for success. Right. So like a video editor, for example, our KPI is, hey, you need to be hitting 30 videos a month. That's one video per day. Most of the videos don't take more than 8 hours. If they do, we weight the videos in terms of story points. This is like an engineering framework where we're saying, hey, what is the effort of this type of video A? And video A is one story point. It's one piece of effort, right? Whereas,
and what do you mean when you're saying video? What do you mean exactly? Like what type of video?
So let's say like we're going to take this podcast, right? You're listening to this podcast and the main goal is, hey, deliver the full podcast, right? Yeah. That one task could be equivalent to 10 short form videos, right?
Yeah, totally.
So if I have 2 editors on my team and one editor is assigned to the long form videos, that long form video is like 3 times more effort than the short form videos.
Okay.
Right. So when I'm managing the editors, I'm not just saying, when can you have this done? Have this done by Friday. I'm looking at what is the effort that it actually takes to complete the project and the timeline of that. And it's a very collaborative approach. Fortunately for me, I have that background of being a video editor and a creative director, and I understand how long some of these things take. But you do want to be able to build a relationship with the creative on your team and get them to understand that, hey, we're going to work in an agile environment. What that means is that I need you to be adaptable and transparent with how long these things take, so I can actually set you up for success. Because most creators don't want to due date, they procrastinate, and they have a hard time working within like a, hey, here's your OKR and KPI structure, which most founders are going to look to implement that. And what they really need to look to implement with the creator is building that trust aspect. And then once you start to build the trust, you double down on resource allocation. So if you find a creator that you really like and you start them at, a specific salary, allowing them to sit within your vision and where the brand is going to go and how they're a part of it is like the key element, because finding creatives is not easy. Like, we hire video editors, graphic designers, creative directors consistently, and we're going through 1,000 editor applications to find
wow
talent, right? Because it's such a low barrier to entry skill. The other thing that most brands don't take into account is, let's say I have a portfolio, and this is now we're in hiring, right? I have a portfolio for my video editing resources that I've acted upon and have gotten paid for. I can now go and download anything from the internet and say that I worked on it, right? So when you're hiring, this is specifically for creators, when you're hiring in the creator realm, what we implement to like save time and energy is they're sending their reference content, and then they're also sending over a screen recording of their project file explaining why they edited the video that they did, because now they have the raw assets, they have everything linked together. You're understanding, hey, this is this individual explaining why he created it the way that he created it. You don't want someone to just like push the buttons from an editing standpoint. You want someone to be like, hey, Jordan, I did this because of this, and here's how it's going to convert.
And then you can trust their process.
Yeah, and you trust their process, right? So if you're the founder, if you're the brand, or you're the founder, you're a creative director, and you've never been behind, let's say, a Premiere Pro project file or a After Effects project file, you're going to be like, I don't know, you go do it, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why that's wrong is that you don't actually get to build a framework for that individual that you're hiring or that's working within your process to, one, stay long term. They can lie about how long it's going to take. And I know this from experience. When I had a 9-to-5 job, I was like, how can I take as long as I possibly can on this and still get it approved by my manager? And that's what you want to be cautious of, because that drains resource, time, and energy for the growth. And the whole goal is to accelerate the growth of the company here, right? So from an editing standpoint, when you have internal team members that are, I guess you could say, clogging the process and you're not aware of it, it becomes a threat over time, right?
Caleb, I want to bring this a little more personal right now. So I just got a message like before our interview that my 4th content person that was going to be working full time with me just ghosted and left.
Yeah.
And what am I doing wrong? What, like, there's I think there's no doubt with 4 in a row now that it's a me problem.
Sure. Yeah.
What am I doing wrong right now when it comes to finding this person that's going to be with me and understand what I'm trying to do here and bring to the world?
That stinks that happened. I feel like we're on a live call-in situation here, right? It's
exactly.
Right?
Calling into the Caleb Alvarez show.
Yeah. So was it an editor? Was it a creative director? What was the role in their title?
So the role, maybe that's one of the issues here. So as far as the role is concerned, they were tasked with all YouTube podcast editing.
Okay.
As well as then taking that podcast content and dripping it down to me for shorts, for all of the like sort of video side of things. And then I would take that some of that ideation from interviews like this, and then I would go and write content. I am I think I've written with AI like twice. Anytime I do, I'm like, it's just not me.
Yeah.
It doesn't get nearly as much reach. So I continually write myself. I've tried to have people write for me,
Yeah.
and it's just never been, I've just never quite gotten it.
So a few things like factor into this. I don't know how much information you want to share. Number one is going to be pay. I would be like, what's the salary that they're getting paid? Number two would be, how are you managing their workload? What did that look like in terms of ClickUp, Notion, Asana? I would like want to see how that's being managed. The other thing is that I would want to see is who's that person reporting to, because if they're reporting to you, that's one thing. If they're reporting to someone on your team, technically that's their situation that they need to be handling, and making sure that they're not getting ghosted, which is like a relationship building aspect.
Every person is reported to my assistant.
Okay, to your assistant. So this is, hey, assistant, what is happening here? What does the comms look like here? What were the red flags that this person either...
Totally. No project management system. We didn't even get them into Notion.
Cool. So this is what's probably happened is like this individual like just feels like a freelancer, and
Totally.
That's the environment that every single company has probably set up. Or were they international?
Yeah, they were in Philippines.
Cool. So Philippines, I love the Philippines, but I no longer hire video creators from the Philippines for a few different reasons. One,
video editors.
Video editors specifically. One is like the weather. We can't control the weather, and there's a variety of different like hurricanes and weather.
Every year there's a massive flood.
So internally, like we've had to slightly pivot to like where we're hiring from for different weather conditions that are completely out of our control. I have great VAs and team members from the Philippines, but creative specifically, I would find someone on your time zone, or your EA or your VA's time zone. The reason why is because initially it needs to be a very collaborative process. Like, Jordan, if you're hiring me, I'm buying into your vision. I'm buying into like what you're building with the company, and what's going to keep me is you. It's not how much you're going to pay me per video, right? Because the next guy, the next company, the next CEO, the next founder that wants to hire your creative, let's say Mr. Beast comes in. This actually happened to me. Mr. Beast stole one of our editors. Okay.
Okay. That does not surprise me.
I had coached a really great guy in Los Angeles. He was amazing, was working with us for about a year and a half. One day I get a text and he's like, hey, can we get on a call? I already know what that means. It's like, either you're quitting or
can
like,
we get on a call?
Wrong,
worst
right?
line as a boss to ever hear.
Hey, can we jump on to talk? Like, I'm like, okay. So I get on a phone call with him. He's like, hey, long story short, like I really enjoy working with you guys. It's been amazing, but like Mr. Beast just offered me X amount of dollars, and like I can't not accept it. I'm gonna go work there. And in that scenario, when you build this type of environment, and I didn't have the culture built with him. I didn't have a great relationship with him. Transparently, loved the guy, did an amazing work, but like my creative director, my project manager, those are the individuals working with the editor on a day-to-day basis, spending time breaking down videos. And as we've grown, I have to become less attached to that and have to put the right people in place to build those relationships. So this was actually like a creative director / in your scenario be like an assistant of responsibility of like, you need to maintain these relationships, right? So if we have an editor that's leaving to go work with Mr. Beast, we need to ask like, okay, outside of pay, what can we do to retain that talent consistently over time, right?
Totally.
And most brands and founders that are listening to this, they're going to be dealing with one or two things. One, they're going to be like, I have no clue where to find these people. LinkedIn is a great place for poaching. Go look at production companies, right? Go look at social media agencies. Be very clear. Do you need a graphic designer, an editor, a creative director? Which if you have a specific scenario like this, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll give you feedback out of Jordan's fee here of bringing me onto the podcast.
Exactly. The consulting fee for
the consulting fee here, right? Happy to help if there's a very specific situation. Please reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we can always jump on a quick call. But usually that's going to be the scenario is like, where do I find this individual? Or, hey, this person's leaving. I don't know how to retain talent. So Eric is a really great YouTube creator. One of my great friends. I've known him for quite a while. And he was dealing with a similar situation where he's like, I cannot find great editors. I have no clue like, where are these guys at? And for YouTube, it's completely different than brand. Brand is completely different than short form, right? It's a different need and approach and solution and a type of editor that's needed. Long form video editing to short form video editing, completely different psychological editing style that you actually implement. Long form is meant to be like sit on the couch, sit back, watch it, listen to it while I'm driving. It's less retentive. Whereas short form now, within 1 second, people are scrolling away. So you have to, implement a different type of editing there. So it's important to note that, like, this isn't plug it into Opus Pro with AI and generate 1 million views. This is a very, structured approach that you want to be implementing for brand and creator and entrepreneur to have it actually convert. AI isn't a bad solution, right? It's not. It's something to, like, get the momentum going. If you are coming to me and you're not creating any content, I'm going to be like, go implement that stuff first.
Totally.
Get some momentum, right? Let's have 100,000 followers. Now let's scale to 1 million, right?
Yeah.
We're at $1 million. How do we scale to $5 million, right? Yeah. What is the strategy behind that? And so looping back to this conversation with Eric, the YouTube creator, which has millions of views, millions of subscribers. I was on a call with his like head of production, and I was like, what if you guys like gave away $100,000? Like, you guys, like, I mean, you could give away $10,000 and get great candidates, right? But I was like, what if you ran this competition? Because he was like, people are completing it, but they're just not that great. They're not putting in a lot of time into it, and I know what we're looking for. I was like, then you need to, like, anchor, like, the outcome. And they actually ran like $100,000 giveaway to whoever won, because I was like, what is
wow, that was like the signing bonus.
Yeah, it was the signing bonus. I was like, what is, like, how much does one quality, like the best guy generate in terms of revenue? He told me the number. I'm like, dude, like, that's not, do the math. Like, let's spend $100K, have them stay for 2 years. And then you anchor that and you vest the $100K into a bonus structure for them, right? So after 2 years, they have their $100K. And then at that point, hopefully, you've solved internal culture things, and you hopefully have developed that individual into a leader. But it's really understanding that, like, every situation needs a different solution, right? We have to have a very solution-oriented approach. And most people, most brands, most founders are like, well, that's why we're hiring the creative director. You're not wrong. It is essential for you to understand that building personal brand, building company brand, building actual relationships digitally is ultimately the only way to scale brand. Like, I think, Jordan, at the start of this call, you were like, relationship is everything, building community, everything. All that organic content does is nurture audience, nurture existing and build existing and new audience, right?
Which is why a lot of the founders here that are listening to this don't, like, I'm going to be like super harsh with people listening. You're not doing it because you're so into direct response marketing.
Yeah.
And that's fine for products, but you're not building a brand. You're not building a brand. And again,
like, how do
remember,
we have
guys,
repeating customers forever?
Totally.
Like,
totally.
How do, when Jordan calls me or texts me on the phone, I have a response time of like 5 minutes. I'm like, dude, whatever you need, let me know. That's through relationship. That's through nurturing, right? That's through giving value to your consumers, right? And the unfortunate part is, like, marketing is, like, to an extent now backwards because of attention, and people are like, they want a place to where they can go and build a community and buy products that they believe in because of what these mega companies have done, and how quickly I can go to Amazon and have a pickleball paddle delivered to my house, aka I ordered it yesterday, it's here this morning, and now I can go play pickleball, and I have no clue who the brand is. Whereas if I'm in, my local town, and there's a startup company, pickleball, product that is just launching, the founders there, and he's like, dude, here's our mission. Our goal is to, like, go against those guys. Don't buy from those guys. Buy from us. So, like, you're supporting a small business.
Yeah.
People thrive for that. That is what.
Dude, this is why founder-led content. This is why I wanted to have you on here, right? To talk about this founder-led content and why it's like you. Yeah, I think a lot of people are probably thinking to themselves, shit, I got to start making content. Let's talk through the content sprint. What does that look like? That's one of your like sort of core methodologies. What does the content sprint look like for founders that are like, okay, I got to get my face back in front of the camera.
Yeah.
What do I do?
So 100%. All a content sprint is literally a start and an end date. We don't need to overcomplicate this. A sprint is like an engineer technical term for like, we start work here, we end it here, we run a retro, and then we do it again. It's basically a check mark within the month, right? I've tried it many different ways. I've tried, hey, let's plan out the content for a full month. Hey, let's do bi-weekly. Hey, let's do weekly. Hey, let's just do it every single day because things change so quick. What I prefer, this is going to be different for everyone depending on the size of your company, your team members. What I personally prefer is a weekly sprint in terms of, hey, Jordan, I'm the creative director reporting to you. Here's exactly what's going out this week. Do you approve it?
Yeah.
And about an hour, we can get through a full week's worth of content and what's upcoming, what's on the horizon, what's being forecasted out. Here's kind of what's in progress. Here's some analytics of what's working, what's not working, what we're going to change, right? Today's Friday, next week's content. We did that call today, and you have the system in the back end, a project management tool like ClickUp, Notion, etc. If you want,
what do you guys use?
We use ClickUp. I can give you guys a whole Loom breakdown of like the whole infrastructure, why we do it the way that we do. Jordan, I can like make a Loom and we can just pin it into the description here.
That'd be awesome, actually. Yeah, like, please.
Hey, here's what it looks like. What I'll do is I'll give you guys the breakdown for Johnny Chang, which is our partner that we scaled from 100K followers to 1 million. And you're going to see like backlog.
Not 1 million views, everyone.
Million
followers.
You're going to see a backlog of like 45 videos that are ready to go out for the next 45 days, pre-approved, captions are written, channels are already selected. It's really
crazy
simple to build, but the management is what comes into play is to actually achieve that is having a project manager, a creative director, a video editor, right?
So how do you hit that though? Like, you know, one of my questions here is like, you know, 100+ founder posts for Nectar.
Yeah.
How do you do that without burning the founder out? Because to me, that just sounds like a massive management headache.
Yeah. So first, you have to be the one driving here. Nectar, Jeremy Kim was the driving force. I did not have to convince Jeremy. We need to do this. This is why it's
Jeremy's been on here, by the way.
Amazing. I love Jeremy.
Yeah.
Jeremy is amazing. Jeremy was, hey, I need you to come in and build the infrastructure. Please help me solve this. And we worked together for 3+ years. It was an amazing time. Love him to death. He's doing amazing things with Johnny Chang now. And he's a true genius from a creative standpoint. So, you know, from a founder, you have to understand like what are your strengths. Jeremy was like the brains of strategy and ideation. Like he was like, here's how the product Lychee is integrated into Nectar. Help me then bring everything else to life. And so if you don't have that skill set like Jeremy, you need someone internally on your team, like Breeze. Right now we work with Corbin. Aaron is the founder of Breeze. And Aaron, we haven't really spoke to very much on the creative front because Corbin on their team knows so much and has so much product information that every single question that I have, instead of going and getting on a phone call with Aaron, whose main focus is drive revenue and scale Breeze, Corbin is the second number 2 who can give us that information. And there's Andrew, who's their creative director, and then their media buyer is Daniel, right? And that team right there, like there has to be a team around the founder to have that system, like the Nectar outcome that we're talking about, 2 to 5 million in revenue, 100+ pieces of content. There has to be that infrastructure. So with Jeremy,
is Aaron doing the founder content?
Aaron's filming. Yeah, Aaron.
Okay, gotcha. Good. I haven't paid attention besides the back founder content. Like
so like Aaron will do
Nick
like customer
stuff.
calls and like he'll get in front of camera, but Aaron isn't like sitting here and doing the strategy and ideation, right?
Gotcha.
He's
what I like to call the meat puppet.
I guess. I mean, he's
my term, not yours, Caleb.
That's your term. He's the individual that has said like, hey, the most valuable thing I can do for the company is this. I'm going to make sure that the team members around me can speak to these areas, that I'm going to invest my time and energy into those individuals so that when we bring in new team members, they can push the mission forward. They can push the brand voice forward. So like the founder's job is get everyone around you aware of like what the mission, what the brand, what the unique selling points are, who is your ideal client, what does that individual look like, how do we best serve them, right? If you can't answer those questions, like stop listening to this, just pause and go back and listen to what I said right there. Go answer those first, because then when you're bringing in an editor, a creative director, a producer, a graphic designer, like they need that key information to actually bring your vision to life. So like Jordan, back to your question of like, what am I doing wrong? I would like go back and just listen to that and be like, did I do a good job out of 10 communicating all of those things to this editor?
No, and I think they need to report to me. Now that I'm realizing this is probably one of the most important things, I'm also thinking I actually might want somebody in person.
Yeah, I mean, I have a camera right here off camera. I have one of my team members here. He's worrying about the batteries, the SD card, the mic setup. I told him, hey, last time the audio wasn't as good. So he's like, let's use this, right? So yeah, you can have a hybrid approach. This also doesn't have to be a full-time role. Like, believe it or not, you don't have to go out and spend $100,000 a year on a salary to like get this going. What I would do if I'm a founder and I don't have any of these things in place, I would pause this episode. I would pause after this, right? First, answer those questions, and then you're like, cool, I know what I need to communicate to this team member and where we're going to go. And then I would go and find a contractor video editor / videographer, someone that can film videos and edit videos. Because if you're only getting an editor, they don't have any of the camera experience, they can't help you in person. You want like this hybrid approach.
Yeah.
And you can go out and contract these guys for $500 for the day, right? A day rate. It's kind of like renting a car. It's like, hey, you have all the gear, you have like some clients, you've been on tour, I want to give you consistent work. Like, let's do a retainer for $850, and like we film once a week for 1 hour. And they're going to be like, holy smokes, like this is amazing, right? Because creators don't have the business infrastructure or the knowledge for the most part. I'm speaking very broadly here. A lot of creators do, but like for the most part, like when I was first getting into video, if someone would have came to me and said, hey dude, like I'm building this company and I can pay you $1,500 a month reoccurring for the next year, all I need you to do is like edit videos.
Be a pretty good gig for some people, like, hey?
Wow, like sign me up, right?
Yeah.
So you're not looking for, Snapchat's creative director and poaching them. Like that's going to cost way too much, and then that's like a director who's going to want a team underneath them. You want someone that's a self-starter, right? They're aspirational. They have goals for themselves. Ideally, they have multiple different ideas. Like Jordan, if I was interviewing you for a role, I'd be like, here's our brand, here's my content. I would get on the call and be like, what do you want to change?
Yeah, totally.
And if like you can't communicate your vision underneath my vision from that initial call and like the initial information you have, they're not much of like a dreamer. Creators need to be dreamers. They need to be, hey, here's the problem, here's how we can fix this solution moving forward. They need to think forward, right? Whereas your manager is your VA / your EA, your manager who's managing that person. That person just needs to be like, we filmed this content, there's 5 deliverables, here's the due date, can you commit to that? Yes, I can commit to that. Great. 2 weeks, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, we're going to do our sprint recap. And that's your meeting where you say, I prefer to do a sprint recap bi-weekly, but I plan the content weekly with my team. So like today,
gotcha.
Before this meeting, I had a meeting and I was like, what is going out next week? I pre-approved everything. They'll post it out all next week and I don't have to worry about it. Next week, we'll meet on the following week. We'll also run a retro next week because it will be bi-weekly of what is working, what are the analytics, what is this data telling us, how can we improve this, what trends are working, etc. And then that's also a place where we can do a deep dive in terms of, hey, like internally, how are we feeling? Are the editors like energy wise? Are they happy? Do we need to change anything? Is this video taking way longer than anticipated? And that's where that agile environment comes into play. I'm not going in and telling them they're late and firing them and finding a new editor.
Oh man, this has been so helpful for me as a content creator. And I can only imagine brands listening to this thinking to themselves like, okay, this all sounds great. I just kind of want someone to do this for me. I just want to show up. I don't want to hire. I can't hire. Is that what you guys do, Caleb?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we do. And, the goal is, you know, if you don't feel like you can do this right away, this is something, it's a place where, you can hire an agency, you can hire a partner, you can hire a creative director. It's first starting with like, what is the outcome, making sure that that partner can achieve that outcome, right? Making sure that they're strategically aligned. At Shadowite Studios, that's what we've implemented, is like we go in and we integrate with the brands, with the creators. We talked about Jeremy Kim, we've talked about Breeze. These are, partners that we've worked with for many years. And
Yeah.
it's not always easy, right? It's not, you go in and you generate 1 million views right away. Sometimes it's 3 months worth of testing, 6 months worth of testing. But when you find that win, you find that winning asset, for example, you double down on the strategy, you implement a content system with repeatable series and content types. That's something we haven't even been able to dive into,
Totally.
right? Is social strategy, right?
I know we were going to talk all
hood.
about, yeah, exactly. Like
right?
all of these different things. Yeah.
Yeah. So we might need a part 2 here, but, from an infrastructure standpoint, in order to even get to those content types, you have to have the right people in place. You have to start with your mission, your vision, the strategy piece. Then it goes into the pre-production, right?
Mm-hmm.
The production and the post-production. And then after production is what we're talking about, is like retroactive, what's working, what is converting, how can we take organic, go from $2 million in sales to $5 million in sales in a year, go from 100,000 followers to 1 million followers within 12 months, right? That is after all of those things are said and done. And so that's exactly what we do, is we partner with brands, creators, entrepreneurs to accelerate their growth within those key components, and actually have a systematic approach to it versus going out and hiring a bunch of freelancers and trying to do it yourself. It's kind of like building a brand for the first time. If you think back to it and you're starting, you said you had invested into multiple different companies, and if you think back to starting the brand, it's like all sunshine and rainbows, and then you get in there and you're like, holy smokes, I didn't see this coming, right? And multiple different areas are like that in business, and the marketing piece, is an area that's consistently changing. It's like getting punched in the face working in social media, I say to my team. But it's being able to be adaptable, flexible, and understand that that's going to happen. How do we have a solution-oriented approach to actually generating results and driving new revenue? Because algorithms are going to change. TikTok's going to get deleted. There's going to be a new social platform. It's less of what should we focus on right now, and more of how do we build a foundation to evolve and adapt no matter what's happening, and not have our revenue affected by that. And so that's exactly, what we focus in and drive results for.
Caleb, thank you so much for your time today. Where can people connect with you and find out more about what you do at Shadowlight Studios?
Of course. So our website is slsvideo.com. It's short for Shadowlight Studios. And then you can reach out to me on all social platforms. Instagram, LinkedIn is where I'm most active, at Caleb Alvarez with 2 Z's. And, if you have any questions, like I said earlier in this episode, you want to see specific frameworks or anything like that, we're here to support you guys. I appreciate you, Jordan, for having us on in the community that you've built. And, we want to give you guys as much free value as possible. So please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm not looking to sell you anything. If it's the right fit, we'll figure out a way to potentially work together. If not, we'll implement some solutions that hopefully are free and you can implement with your team. So, please reach out. We're excited to help.
Caleb, thank you so much for your time today. This was amazing.
Of course. Thank you, Jordan.